And so when you think about kind of the Fed's role, and I love that you call it the engine of wealth inequality, I think a lot of people don't understand how that works, right? And so when you look at the structure of a market, maybe walk us through how wealth inequality is driven from monetary policy. So just forget the United States for a second, just anywhere in the world, how monetary policy and wealth inequality actually interact with each other.
Now, if nations started as equal, then the central banks wouldn't have that much of a role. Because if each of us had, we might not have the same amount of money, but if we had our wealth distributed in the same kind of assets and funded those with pretty much the same amount of debt, then central bank policy would move neutrally through the economy. So think about it this way. If we all had 10% of our wealth in the stock market, whether or not that 10% of the wealth was $10 million or $10,000, every time the market goes up, we would be proportionally richer. It would be an equitable distribution. But that's not the way it works. In the United States now, people have what wealth they have in different assets. Wealthy people have by the majority of their assets in the financial markets in stocks and bonds. Middle class people have the majority of their wealth in their home prices, even though often that's very highly leveraged. They don't actually own much of their house because they've got a big mortgage. The amount of equity they have in their houses is relatively small. And low and moderate income people don't own stocks, don't have equities, often don't even have little bits of 401ks. And if they own a home, they're often in even more debt, and most of them are renters, often also saddled with lots of student debt. So you see that wealth isn't equally distributed in terms of where we get it. And so when the Fed supports financial markets, and as it has since 2010, the Fed has taken numerous actions to ensure that the financial markets, particularly the stock market, just go up, 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 up. And then it's taken other actions that make it essentially impossible to save by putting your money in a bank. Wealth ends up very inequitably distributed because rich people had a lot of stock and now they've got a lot more value in that stock. And middle class, moderate, and low income people had very little stock, a whole lot of debt, and they can't even save because the money in the bank, as I said, in terms of inflation adjusted rates, you lose money. When rates are as low as they are right now, even with little bits of only a little bit of inflation, the money you put in the bank is worth less a year from now. Inflation is higher than interest rates. And that's a recipe for real inequality.
And I think we are seeing that play out in a major, major way. One of the things that I continue to tell people is essentially the government, whether they're trying to or not, is playing kingmaker and determining who is wealthy and who is not. And it's a feature of the system. It's not a bug, right? This is not something where, oh no, we're doing something wrong. The system is working as it is designed. And so what that ultimately leads to is a lack of financial education, right? Many of the people you just described, they don't understand how the dollar works. They don't understand how inflation works. And therefore they end up saving because that's what their parents or somebody told them to do. But in reality, what they should be doing is after they've put away a little bit of money for the rainy day fund, actually investing, right? Kind of saving is for losers and investing is how you build real wealth in the country, given in the macro environment that we live in.
Well, it's true, except savings is often the only way lower income households have, because investing, if you don't do it carefully, is very hard to do if you have barriers by English, by education. And you can be very badly led astray. And of course, even now in the zero commission environment going into the market, it's easier to do. But there can be tremendous risks because there's investing for the overnight types of gains we saw in the game stock and we keep seeing in some corners of the market. And that, the old days, people held their stock. It really is amazing. Going back about 15 years, most people, when they bought stock in the markets, they held on to it for at least 5 years. Now people are day trading and going in and out of it in minutes. So it's speculation in a lot of ways, not really long-term wealth accumulation. And I think
Yeah.
savings is really critical.